hello people, and welcome back to my I hate my hands. So I know I promised this video like a while ago, and I did try to film it like 5 different times, but then, you know, COVID things happened, and like maybe you guys wouldn't want to hear my advice in this time because I really don't know what you guys are going through right now. But I still think there is no harm in trying to, you know, motivate you guys in some way. Also, it's trials period and I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. Probably should have done it a little earlier, but you know, I was talking to my little brother, who was in year 12 by the way, the other day, and I think like some of what we said was stuff that all of you guys need to hear. So yeah, I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible, but if you guys want like an extended version, you guys just have to let me know. Okay, so I just realized that I didn't really give a proper introduction. So basically, this is just a video, a very brief guide on how to salvage your grades, stay motivated, and not burn out during the HSC period from someone who's probably not very qualified to give you this information. So I'm going to start off with my story, just so you guys know what, you know, you're working with here. If you all watched my, you know, HSC reaction video, you would have heard all this before. I was once that person, you know, straight A's or averaging A's in like my overall grade or most of my subjects, you know, doing well up until about year 10, year 11, when I started losing all like motivation, or I don't know, maybe I was just dumb, I don't really know. But then I went from straight A's to straight D's. Not even kidding, I have proof, but not here with me. I do think I have my like chemistry grade or something, and you can see that I was like ranked like 3rd last or something, or 2nd last. Like I was doing badly. And you know, still to this day I don't really know like the real reason why. A combination of mental health and a bunch of things, but like I can't pinpoint an exact reason why things went to crap, but they did. So I think that chemistry mark was from half yearly's year 12. So it wasn't like, oh, at the end of year 11 I found my motivation to, you know, become the best student I can. No, I was still failing up until like past the halfway point. So for all of you guys who think it's like, you know, it's too late to start trying, I'm giving up, I'm done, I'm gonna fail the HSC, I'm kind of here to tell you that it's not. Oh, and I know it's like easier said than done for sure, but I was at that point too, where I was like, you know, it doesn't even matter anymore. I'm going to fail no matter what I do, so let's just give up. And you know, a couple teachers said that to me as well, because you know, I had reached very late before I started to change anything. So I was kind of like, you know, we'll just see how things go. I don't really care anymore. But at a certain point, I made up my mind that I was going to try. And I know a lot of you, especially in these times, you're going to be struggling with a lack of motivation. And I'm not going to say you're going to find your motivation somehow, you know, just be motivated. I'm not going to say that. I was not motivated at all. Even when I started trying, my motivation didn't come from the fact that I was motivated, if that makes any sense. So what I was trying to say was that my motivation wasn't self-propelling or self-propagating, and it isn't like a one-time fix. You kind of have to keep on giving yourself little milestones or constantly pushing yourself to stay motivated and, you know, persevere through. To this day, I remember the exact moment where things changed, and it still makes me so depressed for some reason, but it was okay, so here's the thing. I don't really want to make this story about me. So what I'll do is I'm cutting this part out, number 1, to make it shorter, and number 2, to keep this story focused on what you can do to help yourself. But if people are genuinely interested in it, I'll make like a story time or something about it. Just, you know, let me know. But like that was the turning point for me. I didn't end up finding motivation in myself. I found motivation in the fact that I'm literally an immigrant or a migrant, I don't know the difference. And the fact that my parents brought me here to have a better life, but you know, I'm just throwing all that away in the last, you know, 1 to 2 years of high school, because why? that was my turning point. Well, I'm not trying to tell you guys this story for you to feel bad for me. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes you're not going to find motivation in the fact that you want to get that good ATAR, or that you want to do your best, or you want to get into that good uni. Sometimes that's not going to be your motivation. Sometimes you're going to have to find motivation in other areas of your life. And sometimes you're not really going to find that motivation, and that's also okay. But if you are watching this, I'm assuming that you want to make some sort of change and, you know, save your grade in whatever way you can. So I can go on and on about that, but I know a lot of you are just want to know how. So, you know, I can't give you a comprehensive, you know, no fail fool's guide to, you know, picking up your grade halfway through year 12. I can't give you that, unfortunately. But what I will say is that no matter what you plan on doing, baby steps is the way to go. Especially if you're burnt out. If you're trying to head straight back in full force, you're just going to burn yourself out again. So baby steps is the way to go. My little brother doesn't watch these, so I can expose him as much as I want. But what I recently suggested to my brother, who does not study at all and doesn't care at all, is that, you know, he should start having like group study sessions or something, like at the very least. Because sometimes for some people, being in a group is going to motivate you to some degree. And what we were saying to him, like my siblings and I were saying to him, was that, you know, 30 minutes of distracted study with your friends is better than no study at all, which was literally what he was doing. Personally, group study did not work for me, like at all. But I did find my person. Who was my one or two people who I knew if I headed to the library with them, I was going to get work done and I wasn't going to hate myself doing it. So some people need to just find their one person that's going to be, you know, their study buddy for that HSC period. And I want to let you guys know that it's not always going to be like your best friend or something, or one of your closest friends. You have to be mature enough to discern who is going to be the best person for you in this time. So I know a lot of you, your problem's also going to be, you know, just, you know, starting. And, you know, that was my problem as well. My executive function is screwed up, like it just doesn't, you know, work properly. But one of the ways that I personally just got myself to start was, you know, I didn't say, oh, no phones, no laptops, I'm not going to touch my technology. I know a lot of people do that, but that didn't work for me. I used those to motivate myself instead. So the way it worked was I would equate a certain amount of time studying, or a certain chunk of study, to a certain amount of free time. So at the beginning it worked in short bursts. So I'd say, okay, if I just finished, you know, this chapter in physics, or if I just did 30 minutes of writing for English, then I was allowed to like watch a YouTube video or watch an episode of something on Netflix. And it started at that 1-to-1 ratio, but eventually as I started getting more motivated, it would be, okay, if I worked for a solid 1 or 2 hours, then I would get 30 minutes on my phone to do whatever I want. And then once that time was over, it was back to doing some more work. And, you know, it's not always going to work out perfectly every time, but the fact that you've done something and you've started something and you're using what can be a distraction to reward yourself is the way to go. It's about working smart and not hard. Also, I did want to mention, you also need to find your location. So I couldn't work at home. You know, I have 3 siblings. Do I? Yes, I have 3 siblings, and, you know, just being around them was not conducive, like, of an environment that would work for study. So I found my place, and my place was the library. And I didn't leave that place for hours at a time, even though I wasn't always working that time. But, you know, almost every day after school, I would go there, you know, and I'd try to get as much work done as possible. And, you know, some days it wasn't possible. Some days I genuinely couldn't bring myself to do any work. So I'd either leave or just sit there and see if I can, you know, try and get myself to, you know, finish 1 page of notes or something. But the fact that I wasn't at home distracted was better than doing nothing. That was badly worded, but okay. You know, there are a bunch of amazing study tips out there, and you know, I'm probably not the best person to give you those, you know, amazing tips that are going to help you memorize your quotes perfectly or whatever. But I can tell you what worked for me and what took my grade from what, a 40 something in chemistry to an 80 or whatever in less than 6 months. So there's no foolproof way to go about it, but what I will say is consistency is key. Some sort of consistency is key, and practice does make perfect. Two very cliche quotes, but they really do apply in this situation. And one last thing I wanted to say on that topic was that you have to have realistic expectations and goals for yourself so that you don't end up disappointed at the end of the day. For example, it's the class of, what year is it? For example, to the class of 2020, you have 3-4 more months until your HSC exams. And if you're watching this video now, looking for some motivation because you haven't started doing anything, you know, you can't expect to be getting, you know, that 99 ATAR. Like, realistically, that's going to be very difficult, especially if you're still getting, you know, 40s and 50s in your grade. But I'm not going to say it's impossible because I don't know. If you didn't watch my, actually no, I'm going to force you, go watch my ATAR reaction video to find out what I did end up getting. But, you know, that number was way above my personal expectations. And honestly, I had every reason to believe that the low number I set for myself was going to be the number that I got. But a mixture of two things happened. I did a subject the year before and got a 90 something in it. So that boosted my ATAR. Number two, I'm not gonna lie, I worked hard in those months leading up to HSC. And if you do watch my ATAR reaction video, you know that my examination mark for most of my subjects was a lot higher than my internal mark at the end of the day, because it reflected the work that I ended up doing. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, set realistic expectations for yourself. But if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to work hard, I have no doubt that your expectations will be exceeded and you will see, you know, the fruits of your labor. One last thing I did want to talk about before I go was that even if you don't end up getting the results that you want or the results you expect, it's not the end of the world. And I know a million people tell you this, like time and time and time again. But, you know, I'm going to tell you something, some wise words of wisdom that a teacher, Miss Copeland for those of you who are interested, told me. Even if I don't get the marks that I'm expecting, universities are capitalist institutions, so use that to your advantage. And you know, I have not forgotten those words since, because it makes so much sense. All the universities want is your money, really. There's always a way in. If that's your dream in life, if you really want to go to university and study, you know, whatever you want, there's always a way to get there. And you know, if you guys do end up in that position and you want me to let you in on some of the many ways to get into university without your ATAR goal, I'll let you in on the secrets. But for now, don't stress. Please don't waste energy you don't have. And you know, don't lose sleep over this, because at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings or anything. You're allowed to be upset over that. But I'm saying, you know, feel that sadness, feel upset, but then realize that there's always a way around it. And you know, it's just another hurdle to reaching your goals. No, I think that is all I want to say for now. You know, from your big sister, no, I am calling myself your big sister now, and you can't change that. No, thank you. Good luck to the class of 2020. You have got this in the bag. I know with everything that's going on, you guys really have been dealt, you know, the short end of the stick, but I have faith that you guys will pull through. And at the end of the day, I personally believe it's about, you know, giving it your best shot and being proud of yourself no matter what, because not many people can say they did their HSC in the middle of a global pandemic. So